Why was Mandalore destroyed? What role has the entire Mandalorian world played in the Star Wars universe, and how has it threaded through the entire timeline? This video will lay it all out once and for all. We'll take the perspectives of Bo-Katan, Ahsoka, and Sabine Wren to examine how they've permeated the entire Star Wars universe, from the Clone Wars through Mandalore's destruction to the rise of the Empire, its eventual fall, and Thrawn taking up the mantle of the Imperial remnants. Finally, we'll see how Bo-Katan and Din united the remaining Mandalorians to reclaim their homeworld. The fall and rise of Mandalore, a galactic epic. The prelude, Mandalore's turbulent past. In the vast expanse of the Star Wars galaxy, Mandalore stood as a planet with a rich and complex history, home to the fierce Mandalorian warrior race. Long before the events that would lead to its downfall, Mandalore was a place of great political influence and military might. During the era of the Old Republic, the Mandalorians, with their proud warrior traditions, embarked on bids for galactic conquest. These ambitious endeavors sparked numerous wars against the Jedi Order and the Republic. Centuries of continuous conflict took a heavy toll on the planet. The surface of Mandalore became a devastated and barren landscape, marred by the scars of countless battles. By the time of the Clone Wars, much of the planet had turned inhospitable. As a result, the remaining Mandalorians were forced to take refuge in domed cities scattered across the planet. In the years leading up to the prequel trilogy, Mandalore was plunged into yet another civil war. This internal strife was so destructive that it brought the planet's population to a staggering low. Amidst the chaos and wanton destruction, Duchess Satine Kryze emerged. She declared the end of Mandalore's military-dominated era and pledged a non-violent future for the planet and its citizens. Any former militants who refused to abide by this new code were exiled to the moon of Concordia. There, they formed a splinter faction known as Death Watch, harboring resentment and a desire to reclaim their warrior-led past. The Clone Wars, a new storm on Mandalore. Mandalore, despite its neutral stance during the Clone Wars, could not escape the clutches of violence. Death Watch, driven by their ambition to retake control of Mandalore and re-establish a military regime, made repeated attempts to seize power. Their actions caused constant strife and turmoil on the planet. Into this chaos stepped the former Sith Lord Darth Maul. Sensing an opportunity, Maul manipulated various officials and even Death Watch itself from the shadows. His ultimate goal was to take control of Mandalore for his own dark purposes. Maul's schemes led to a series of events that culminated in a tragic turn of events. He killed Duchess Satine. Satine being the former lover of Obi-Wan Kenobi. This act of vengeance was a brutal blow, plunging Mandalore deeper into violence and despair. In the final days of the Clone Wars, a Republic mission was launched to liberate Mandalore and capture Maul. The mission, led by Ahsoka Tano and clone commander CT-7567 Rex in alliance with Bo-Katan Kryze's Mandalorian resistance, was successful in ousting Maul. However, this victory was short-lived, and the planet's troubles were far from over. Bo-Katan Kryze, a warrior's quest for power and redemption. Bo-Katan Kryze, Duchess Satine's sister, was a gifted and determined warrior. During the Clone Wars, she served as Pre Vizsla's trusted right hand in Death Watch. Although she was loyal to Vizsla, she had reservations about Death Watch's alliance with Darth Maul and Savage Opress, whom they had found in an escape pod. Bo-Katan questioned the wisdom of aligning with beings she considered no better than Jedi. Maul, enraged by her remark, choked her, but she remained steadfast in her convictions. After Maul's defeat and the end of Death Watch, Bo-Katan played a crucial role in the events that followed. She became the regent of Mandalore during the early days of the Empire. However, her resistance to Imperial authority did not sit well with the new regime. The Empire, under Emperor Palpatine, was determined to assert its control over all planets, and Mandalore was no exception. Gar Saxon, one of Maul's former commanders, was appointed as the Imperial governor of Mandalore by the Empire. He created a cadre of Imperial supercommandos, Mandalorian warriors loyal to the Empire. Bo-Katan, not one to back down, refused to submit to Imperial rule. She began to fight back, leading a resistance movement against the Imperial occupation. The Darksaber, a symbol of power and unity. The Darksaber, a unique, black-bladed lightsaber, held great significance in Mandalorian culture. It was a symbol of power, traditionally wielded by the leader of Mandalore. The weapon had a long and storied history, dating back to Tara Vizsla, the first Mandalorian Jedi. During the Clone Wars, Pre-Vizsla, a descendant of Tara Vizsla, reclaimed the Darksaber. However, Darth Maul rightfully won the blade by defeating Vizsla in single combat, becoming one of the first non-Mandalorians to wield it. Despite being defeated by Palpatine in combat during the Clone Wars, Maul managed to keep hold of the Darksaber. It wasn't until Star Wars Rebels that the Darksaber's story took a new turn. Sabine Wren, a Mandalorian, managed to obtain the Darksaber from Maul. She later won it back from Gar Saxon in single combat, confirming her right to ownership. However, in a fateful decision, Sabine chose to gift the Darksaber to Bo-Katan. Sabine believed that Bo-Katan had the strength and the right to rule Mandalore. Bo-Katan reluctantly accepted the blade. With the Darksaber in her hands, she united the Mandalorian clans in opposition to the Empire, leading them in the fight against Imperial rule. The Great Purge, Mandalore's devastating downfall. The Empire, growing increasingly frustrated with the Mandalorians' resistance, decided to take drastic measures. They launched a genocidal campaign known as the Great Purge, also referred to as the Night of 1,000 Tears. The Empire's goal was to extinguish all rebellion from the Mandalorians and exploit the planet's remaining resources, particularly the valuable Beskar. During this brutal purge, the Empire unleashed a relentless bombardment on Mandalore. The capital city of Sundari and other domed cities were destroyed, and hundreds of thousands of Mandalorians were killed. The planet's surface was left in ruins, rendered inhospitable and uninhabitable. Bo-Katan, leading the Mandalorian resistance, faced a seemingly insurmountable challenge. In a tragic twist, Bo-Katan was forced to make a difficult decision. Moff Gideon, an Imperial Security Bureau ISB officer, told her that Mandalore would be spared if she commanded the Mandalorians to disarm. Despite the fact that weapons were a crucial aspect of the Mandalorian religion and way of life, Bo-Katan agreed, believing it was the only way to save what remained of her people. In doing so, she yielded to Moff Gideon and gave away the Darksaber. This act, however, did not save Mandalore from the Empire's wrath. The bombardment continued, and the Mandalorian people were brought to the brink of extinction. Survivors were forced to scatter across the galaxy, hiding in the shadows, their once proud civilization in shambles. Moff Gideon's rise and the Darksaber's new master. With the Darksaber in his possession, Moff Gideon became a powerful figure. He carried the blade through the fall of the Empire, holding on to it as a symbol of his authority. In the years following the Empire's collapse, Gideon remained a threat, using the Darksaber to assert his control over any remaining Mandalorian factions. Gideon's possession of the Darksaber was controversial. According to Mandalorian laws, the blade could only be rightfully claimed by winning it in combat. Gideon, however, had obtained it through Bo-Katan's surrender, not through a legitimate duel. Despite this, he pretended to own it, perhaps believing that the power of the symbol alone would be enough to cow the remaining Mandalorians into submission. The Mandalorians return, a spark of hope. Fast forward to the events of the Mandalorian series. Din Djarin, a Mandalorian bounty hunter, found himself drawn into a larger conflict. After a series of adventures, he came into contact with Bo-Katan and learned of the Darksaber's significance. In a fateful encounter, Din Djarin defeated Moff Gideon in combat, taking the dark saber for himself. Bo-Katan, who had long sought to reclaim the dark saber and restore Mandalore, initially saw Din Djarin as an obstacle. However, as they continued to work together, a new understanding began to form between them. They realized that the only way to save Mandalore and the Mandalorian people was to unite. The battle for Mandalore, reclaiming the homeland, Din Djarin, Bo-Katan, and a united front of Mandalorian warriors decided to take the fight back to Mandalore. They knew that retaking their home planet would be an arduous task. Moff Gideon, who had managed to escape New Republic custody, had turned Mandalore into his base. He was up to something sinister, cloning himself in hopes of creating a force-sensitive army that could reclaim the galaxy for the Empire. The Mandalorians launched a daring assault on Mandalore. Grogu, Din Djarin's young companion, played a crucial role in the battle. Using his new IG-12 mech suit, he helped free Din Djarin from Imperial clutches. Din Djarin, in turn, made quick work of destroying Moff Gideon's clones. The final confrontation was epic. Din Djarin, Bo-Katan, and Grogu faced off against Moff Gideon and his 3 Praetorian guards. It was a battle that tested their skills, their courage, and their determination. In the end, they emerged victorious, seemingly defeating Moff Gideon once and for all. The aftermath, a new beginning for Mandalore. With Moff Gideon defeated, the Mandalorians finally reclaimed their home planet. Bo-Katan, having proven herself in the battle and with the support of the united Mandalorian clans, assumed her role as the ruler of Mandalore. She was now the rightful leader, with the dark saber in her possession once again, this time having earned it through the support of her people and her actions in the fight to reclaim their homeland. Din Djarin, having played a pivotal role in the liberation of Mandalore, officially adopted Grogu, now renamed Din Grogu by the Armorer. He decided to take Grogu on as an apprentice, passing on the Mandalorian ways and traditions. Mandalore, though still in ruins, was now a place of hope. The Mandalorians, once scattered and on the verge of extinction, were now united. They began the long and arduous process of rebuilding their planet and their civilization. With the support of the New Republic and their own indomitable spirit, they looked forward to a new future, one where Mandalore would once again thrive in the galaxy.